Okay, second problem I had posted as a review. I looked at and decided I wasn't quite sure how I would do it. This side, I mean, I could write secant as 1 over cosine, but I don't know how much that would help me at this point. So I was looking over here at this cosine cubed, and I thought, okay, that looks like it's a little more complicated. So I'm going to, I don't know anything about cosine cubed. So I'm thinking what I want to do is I want to rewrite cosine cubed as cosine of theta times cosine squared of theta. Now when I did that, it kind of triggered something to me that, okay, if I have a cosine in the denominator, 1 over the cosine is equal to the secant. So that made me think that, okay, I might be on the right track, because this cosine down here, when I would think of this as 1 over the cosine times everything else that's left, I know that's secant. So that tells me I think I'm on the right track. So then I look at this cosine squared, and I think, what could I replace cosine squared with? Well, cosine squared is 1 minus sine squared. So I'm going to rewrite everything else. I'm just going to replace this cosine squared with 1 minus sine squared. Now, that kind of gets me again to thinking about where am I going to? You know, I want a 1 minus sine, but I've got a 1 minus sine squared. So, can we factor this? When you see this, you should start always thinking about that being the difference of squares. So that factors into 1 minus sine times 1 plus sine. And once you see that, you see something's happening, you see those 1 plus signs drop out, which is good. Remember, what we're trying to get to is we want that 1 minus sign to stay on the bottom, but we want a secant on the top. So I'm just going to rewrite this to kind of show what's going on. I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over the cosine times 1 over 1 minus sine. And again, I'm just kind of breaking up. I haven't changed anything. That's still cosine times 1 minus sine on the bottom. Now when I look at this, 1 over cosine is the secant, so I really have the secant times 1 over 1 minus sine. You don't really have to show me that step, but that I want to make sure everybody sees what I did. So it's really the secant, or secant over 1, times 1 over 1 minus the sine, and so now when I put them together, I get secant over 1 minus sine. Okay, so again, what did I do? Looking back up here, I didn't like that cosine cubed, so I wrote it as cosine times cosine squared. I knew right away that I liked that cosine on the bottom, so I had to do something with this cosine squared, so I replaced it with 1 minus sine squared. Then I realized I had to factor that. It factors into 1 minus sine times 1 plus sine. That's the difference of squares. The 1 plus signs drop out. The 1 over cosine gave me the secant, and then I still have that 1 minus sine. So again, you don't really have to show me that step if you don't want to, but if you do, that's fine, but you didn't have to show me that to get secant over 1 minus sine. Okay, that's problem number 2.